I could technically sing, but it gives way to take the time to actually break them down. And after we break them down, we're going to get into a little more context as well. And you know, we're going to hear it and judge for ourselves. I think being able to judge something for yourself is a blessing. It's a blessing. I think it's great that we can download files and we can have whole speeches and we can have full thoughts to where we don't have to judge everything by sound bites, because if we judge everything by sound bites, then you know what? It's very easy that, we could be being had. We could be being had. And so again, and I do find that a lot of these situations, in my opinion, there's a lot of gray area. Everybody want to make it one way or another. And I have personally found that, he'll say some things that are true and he'll mix them with some things that are lies. And the media will say some things that are true and they'll mix it with some things that are lies or lies by omission. And so what we're going to do, like I said, we're going to go ahead and get to it. I introduced it enough. And so let's hear what he has to say for himself.
You said repeatedly that you think that some of the equipment that governors are requesting they don't actually need. You said New York might not need 30,000. You said it on Sean Hannity's Fox News. You said that
why don't you people act? Let me ask you.
You said
why
some
don't
states.
you act? Why don't you?
And that right there off the top, that was one of the first things that I saw when it came to what he said. People were incensed because he said, you people. He said, you people, and again, he's talking to an African-American female reporter, and she has been a White House correspondent for a while. I've seen him get into it with her back and forth on numerous occasions, and so this isn't the first time, but let's put a pin in that right there, where he says, you people. And so I'm going to go back a little bit and start over because that was early, but he does say that you people, and that was a part of the angst that people are feeling. So we're going to give it a review.
Requesting they don't actually need. You said New York might not need 30,000. You said it on Sean Hannity's Fox News. You said that
why don't you people act? Let me ask you.
You said
why
some
don't
states.
you act? Why don't you act in a little more positive? It's always trying to
My
get
question
you,
to you
get you. And you know what? That's why nobody trusts the media anymore.
And see, and so he's saying get you. When he means get you is a gotcha question. A question meant to trap somebody in something. And I personally think the question she asked was a fair question. So I'm going to start there. I think the question she asked was fair. I think he's defensive because he don't have an answer for her. So let me get back to it.
My question to you is, how is that going to impact?
Excuse me, you didn't hear me. That's why you used to work for the Times and now you work for somebody else. Look, let me tell you something. Be nice. Don't
Mr.
be
President,
threatening.
my question
Don't
is...
be threatening. Be nice.
The tone he uses and the voice inflection and saying don't be threatening. I don't like when people say don't be threatening, especially when you're not being threatened. I'm big on words. I'm big on the way that you use words. And he keeps saying don't be threatening. I would like to know, how is she being threatening? And so again, I'm breaking this down and giving my fair assessment of how I think. And so far, I don't understand what his issue is. But, little background, he has had issues with CNN. He can't stand CNN. But the way he's treating her, very unpresidential, very unprofessional. Let me get back to it.
My question is, how is that going to impact how you fill these orders for ventilators or for masks? Your views that it's not going to impact you at all.
We're producing tremendous numbers of ventilators. We're doing a great job on it. Mike Pence, our vice president, has headed up the task force, which has been incredible, the job they've done. We have everybody in the White House working on it. We have everybody in the country is working on this in one way or the other. The fact is, we've done a great job of delivering. You've seen the biggest people in the business. I mean, there's nobody even close to this group of people. We had a meeting at 3 o'clock. It lasted for a long time. It was a great meeting with the generals and with everybody else, and they have done a fantastic job. I'm just saying this. If they're holding, let me give you one example. We sent thousands of generators to New York. They were put into a warehouse, a New York warehouse that happened to be located, interestingly, in Edison, New Jersey. They were given to New York, and we then went to other places, also giving thousands of ventilators. The people in New York never distributed the generators. We said, why didn't you distribute them? Now, you have to understand, they have New York people working in those warehouses. They knew they had them. So we said, why didn't you distribute them? I hope they've distributed them now. But maybe they didn't need him so badly. But just so you
And see right there, what he's doing is he's trying to shift the conversation. Instead of answering her question directly, he pivots it and he puts the onus on New York, talking about them having the generators, basically saying that they fouled up in the way that they, distributed the generators and things of that nature. And that's something that I would encourage us all to go look into ourselves to see if there's any validity of that. And right at this point, I can't tell you because I haven't looked into it enough. I was focusing on this. So let me get back to it.
we're all, you, me, everybody, we're all on the same team. When journalists get up, and you're a journalist, a fine journalist, when journalists get...
Now, he just said you people, and he was kind of talking about how, she came from one agency, from one newspaper, and now she's working at CNN. He was putting her down, and now he says, you're a fine journalist. You're a fine journalist. And so I don't know if he's being condescending or if he's trying to make up for the way that he approached her in the beginning. But I do know that he's kind of ran from the question, and I think that's what's making him tense. Let me get back to it.
Get
From
up
Sean Hannity.
and ask questions that are so threatening.
I was quoting
We're all
you
on the
directly
same
from
team.
your interview with Sean.
And see, when he says we're all on the same team, that confuses me because if you're on the same team, you would want to communicate. Again, he uses the word threatening, and that bugs me that he's using the word threatening to a very non-threatening individual.
On Hannity.
Take a look at my interview. What I want to do is, if there is something wrong, we have to get to the bottom of it. When I hear face masks go from 10,000 to 300,000, and they constantly need more, and the biggest man in the business is like shocked. He knows all about the virus, by the way. He's not surprised by that. He knows all about it. He shouldn't be surprised. He should say, well, that's standard, because this is really a very tough disease. This is really a very tough virus.
See, what he's insinuating right there is that he spoke to somebody who manufactures masks. And what they're saying is it doesn't make sense. He's saying they know all about the virus, and so they should know about the escalation of the amount of masks that he needs. And he's saying that that expert or whoever he spoke to, he's not disclosing who he spoke to, but he's insinuating that he spoke to somebody who manufactures masks. He's saying that they basically are saying they don't understand why New York would need so many, why Andrew Cuomo would need so many. He's basically saying something's nefarious in them needing so many masks so fast when he's saying their hospitals are always filled. Let me play some more.
Is to handle. Okay.
Mr.
Please, go
President,
ahead.
Mr. President, my second
Go ahead.
question.
That's enough. Thank you very much.
Mr. President,
And she had another question, and so she asked two questions, and he kind of avoided both of her questions, and he said, move on. He said, move on. Let's see what happens next.
Please. That's enough. That's enough. That's not fair to your other reporters.
Okay, and she said my second question, so okay, we'll say her second question. And she's still trying to ask a question. Now there's somebody trying to take the mic from her, and he's saying, now that's not fair to your colleagues. That's not fair to the rest of the reporters. Let's see what happens.
It's not fair. You had a long time, a long question. If we have time, I'll get back to you for your second question. Is that okay? All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I do have a question for you, but I'd like to let my colleague Gimish finish her second question, if that's all right.
Go ahead.
Okay, and what happened right there was a few reporters that went through and asked other questions, and he picked another reporter, and he said, I want to pass my turn, and I want to give the microphone back to Ganesh so she can finish asking her questions. And Trump said, okay, go ahead. And so she has the microphone again, and let's go.
Thanks, Jeremy.
I'm going to call on you next. You know that.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've also
And he tells her, I was going to call on you next. You know that. Now, I don't know if she knows that or not. I wasn't there. I don't know the protocol, if they give each other a wink, a nod, a tap on the shoulder. I have no clue. But he's saying, I was going to call you next. You know that. Earlier, he said, I'll get back to you if we have time. So let's see if he asks any more questions after this, or if he takes any more questions after this. So that's something I want to pay attention to as well. Let's go.
also said that at one point that you thought more people might die from the economic tragedies and the economic problems in America due to the coronavirus outbreak. What health officials are telling you that? And Dr. Fauci, could you speak to that, the idea that there might be mental health and suicide related to this? Would that outpace at some point the virus's impact on this society?
Well,
Thank
I could
you.
ask Dr. Fauci to come up, but it's common sense. You're going to have massive depression, meaning mental depression. You're going to have depression in the economy also, but you're going to have mental depression.
And he's choosing to ask the question. She approached him with the question, but she tried to roll it over to Dr. Fauci so she can get a professional answer. And Trump decided himself, I'm going to take this one myself. All right, so he took the question himself, and let's get back to it.
The economy also, but you're going to have mental depression for people. You're going to have large numbers of suicides. Take a look at what happens in a really horrible recession or worse. So you're going to have tremendous suicides, but you know what you're going to have more than anything else? Drug addiction. You will see drugs being used like nobody's ever used them before, and people are going to be dying all over the place from drug addiction, because you would have people that had a wonderful job at a restaurant or even owned a restaurant. I spoke to great people today that have done a great job, and one day they're at the top of their business. They're celebrity chefs. They've got the most successful restaurants, and in one day they have nothing.
See, to me, and this is anecdotal, this is just something that I'm getting off of him speaking. It sounds like he's spoken to one of his celebrity chef's friends, and they are telling him about the financial burden and how they feel. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think Donald Trump really has a feeling of what regular people feel. And it seems like when he talks to people, that he's talking about people that want to kill themselves because they were at the top of their career, they're top of their field. But, you know, I don't know that many waiters and waitresses making that much money to where it's that devastating. Now, I do know these things can have a devastating effect, but what I'm getting is he's talking about somebody with a lot more money than this brother here.
They've gotten wiped out one day from our enemy, this invisible, horrible scourge. So when you ask me that, it's so easy to figure that. I mean, massive drug use, massive depression, mental depression, massive numbers of suicide. Anxiety causes, disease, they say. A lot of people, you're going to have tremendous. And hopefully we're not going to have that, because hopefully by what we're doing, we get the best of both worlds. We don't have 2.2 million deaths. We have a number that's much less, much, much less. And at the same time, we get our country running again. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You were next. He was very nice in doing it, though, nevertheless. Go ahead.
All right, now, so he ended that question, and so he goes back to the reporter that gave away his question. So he gave his question away, but he has no problem giving him the question back. So he didn't skip him. And so, I don't know, I might have skipped him. If you give away your question, I might have skipped you. But I say that for a reason. But let me get into this, and I'll come back to that reason later.
Thank you, sir.
Which is unusual for CNN.
Okay, now, here we go. Now he's picking on another CNN reporter. He says that's unusual for CNN. Now, the lady that just spoke, she's a CNN reporter. She's a CNN reporter. The next reporter, apparently an CNN reporter, because he said you gave her your turn, which is unusual for a CNN reporter. Now, remember, he has some sort of antipathy with CNN, and it's going way back. So this is the part I want to get into, because that clip right there is the headline. It says Trump berates reporter for threatening question during briefing. I'll be honest with you, I don't think he berated her. I think he does what he normally does, rambles on until he can reverse the question and blame it on somebody else. To me, that's just a normal course of action. So do I think they're overdoing it with the title? Vastly. But let me get to this. There's some very interesting things that happened in the part that they didn't show.
Two quick questions. First of all, during this 30-day additional period, do you anticipate at all relaxing those restrictions by region during these additional 30 days?
I don't think so. It's a great question, actually. I don't think so. And I asked that the same. I said, how about Nebraska? How about Idaho? How about Iowa? And you know what? Those people are so great. I don't think they want to be in that position, actually. And probably I was given a pretty strong look by these two people. They said, we don't like that idea. So, we're relying on them. They're the best in their profession, and they didn't like the idea.
And secondly, sir, I want to ask you about
And
some
we could
comments.
do it, but I don't think it would be good.
Thank you, sir. I'd also like to ask you about some comments you made on Friday. You were talking about governors of different states, and you said, I want them to be appreciative. You also said, if they don't treat you right,
But I didn't say
don't
that.
call.
I didn't
These are
say
direct,
that. No,
direct
such a-
quotes, sir.
Excuse me, ready?
Now you see again. Now he's saying it's a direct quote, and he's talking about something that Trump had said prior on a television show or in a different press conference. And I want you guys to listen to this because I want you to hear it, and I just want everybody to be honest about it. Again, I have been honest about what I thought about Donald Trump thus far in his performance and the things that he said. I do think he was very disrespectful the way that he spoke to her. Well, very condescending, very defensive, and trying to reverse it as usual. But I think this is very interesting. I want you guys to just listen with a sober mind and just listen.
You were talking about governors of different states, and you said, I want them to be appreciative. You also said, if they don't treat you right,
But I didn't say
don't
that.
call.
I didn't
These are
say
direct,
that. No,
direct
such a-
quotes, sir.
Excuse me, ready? Take a look at what it said. I want them to be appreciative of me, okay? And then you cut it off because it's fake news.
You and of your administration,
Listen,
absolutely.
Please, let me just finish it. Ready? Take a look at what it said. I want them to be appreciative of me.
Okay, and so he's saying when he asked the question, he only said that I want people to be appreciative of me. And he ended the question right there. And in fact, here, I want to play it one more time so we can hear it. I just want to get the detail.
Appreciative. You also said, if they don't treat you right,
But I didn't say
don't
that.
call.
He said if they appreciative of him, and if they don't treat him right, I don't call. Then Donald Trump disagrees.
You made on Friday. You were talking about governors of different states, and you said, I want them to be appreciative. You also said, if they don't treat you right,
But I didn't say
don't
that.
call.
I didn't
These are
say
direct,
that. No,
direct
such a-
quotes, sir.
Excuse me, ready? Take a look at what it said. I want them to be appreciative of me, okay? And then you cut it off because it's fake news.
You and of your administration,
Listen,
absolutely.
Please, let me just...
And you see how after he caught him in his tracks, he said, and then you cut it off. And he said, oh yeah, you and your administration, absolutely. But that wasn't in his first line of questioning. He was trying to up the question as if he only said that he wanted people to thank him. Now we have to be honest about it. Let's go.
Talking about governors of different states, and you said, I want them to be appreciative. You also said, if I
say
don't
that.
call.
I didn't
These are
say
direct,
that. No,
direct
such a-
quotes, sir.
Excuse me, ready? Take a look at what it said. I want them to be appreciative of me, okay? And then you cut it off because it's fake news.
You and of your administration,
Listen,
absolutely.
Please, let me just finish it. You just said it again, and you know the answer's a lie. You know
I
that
could read you
statement
your
is a
full
lie.
comments,
Let
sir, if
me
that
just
would
say,
be
look,
easier.
your statement and your response and your answer is a lie because he is to be appreciative of me, and then you go on, and then I go on, and you cut it off. But it says
You said,
because
I
when
want
you're
them to be
not,
appreciative. I don't want them to say things that aren't true. I want them to be appreciative. We've done a great job. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Mike Pence, the task force. I'm talking about
Thank
FEMA,
you.
the Army Corps of Engineers.
And that's the part that he left out where he said, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Mike Pence, FEMA, and that's what Trump says, thank you. And this is why I say I watch these things because it gets dicey because he does lie so much that it does leave room for the media to do things like that. So only read half of a statement and only read the rest of the statement when forced or caught in the tracks. And that's why I said we got a president that lies a lot and he's very defensive, but we also have a media that wants to set things up to look a certain way as well, which I don't understand because he lies enough on his own. But let me get back to it.
Aren't true. I want them to be appreciative. We've done a great job. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Mike Pence, the task force. I'm talking about
Thank
FEMA,
you.
the Army Corps of Engineers.
Thank you.
But then you went on to say, if they don't treat you right, I don't call. He's a different type of person.
I don't
you said,
call.
referring to
No,
the
I
vice
don't
president.
call. No, I don't call the governor of Washington
Why in this
now.
time of-
But Mike Pence calls, and the head of FEMA calls. I don't stop them. Did I ever ask you to do anything negative, Mike, to Washington, the state of Washington? Michigan, I love that state. That's one of my favorite places in the whole world, Michigan.
And so the reporter is asking, why would you say you wouldn't call these governors in a time like this? And Donald Trump is that we don't get along. We don't get along, so I don't have them restrict them. I don't tell them to do anything bad, but we don't get along. And since we don't get along, hey, I have somebody else call. And so, we go back and play that and get back into it.
Ever ask you to do anything negative, Mike, to Washington, the state of Washington? Michigan, I love that state. That's one of my favorite places in the whole world, Michigan. And I'm so proud of what's happened with the auto industry. It's coming back to Michigan. No, I don't have to call because I'm probably better off not, because we don't get, he's a failed presidential.
And here we go, getting into the insults. And again, and this is why I said earlier, and I was asking myself, well, is he just picking on the female black reporter? Because the condescending way and tone that he was speaking to her, he's talking to this reporter too. But the thing that's troubling is she didn't lie. She didn't leave anything out. She didn't omit any of his statement. The other reporter, the male reporter, in fact, did. He did. I'm just being honest. He omitted a part of the statement to make it look a certain way. Now, my question is this. Why didn't he end the conversation with him like he ended the conversation with her? He didn't give her no more follow-up. Now, he's going back and forth with this man, and he didn't go back and forth with her like that. He didn't give her the same amount of input to be able to ask questions and to further the conversation as he did this other reporter. And so I would say, not was it racist, it was more sexist. That's what I'm saying. And then he goes on, and now he's about to get into it and talk about a governor. But what I do agree with, I have to be honest, what I do agree with is him saying that we don't get along, so it's probably better that I don't call them. Because he don't get along with them. People do not like Donald Trump. And I understand why. And so if you know that people don't like you and you know that you won't be able to get anything done if you call you, point to somebody else or tap somebody else to make that phone call. So I don't see why that's a big deal, but we have to make everything a big deal. And I do think the media is trying to make certain things that are big, that are not big deals because it's great for ratings. And so again, with the woman reporter, I think it's more of a thing of him being sexist and a thing of him not liking CNN because he's going back and forth with these CNN reporters. Let me get to it.
Because I'm probably better off not, because we don't get, he's a failed presidential candidate. He's a nasty person. I don't know who calls. I get Mike Pence to.
Okay, now he told the lady that she was asking threatening questions, and I didn't like that. But now he's talking about the governor of Michigan. He's saying he's nasty. Now, if this is coming from a man who has all the nastiness and vitriol of him, that if you bottled it up and sold it, you would never run out. And he's calling somebody else nasty. But again, he's still insulting somebody else. Now he's insulting a white governor. So this isn't a black woman. And so what worries me, or what catches my attention, is, again, the title, this video is titled, Trump Berates Reporter for Threatening Question During Briefing. Okay, and so he only said threatening to the black reporter. But he's also speaking with the same tone to these other reporters as well, and that isn't part of the headline. When I scrolled through, all I saw was, well, Trump berates black woman, Trump berates a black reporter, and this, that, and the third. And so I'm just, we're going to get through it. We almost get through it here. Let me play a little bit more.
Call. I get the head of FEMA to call. I get the admiral to call. But what you didn't say, see, you started it off, talked about, I have to be appreciated. But then, when you read the rest, you said, you're not respected.
Now you see what Trump just did? He did say me. He said, if you don't appreciate me, then you're not appreciating Mike Pence. And so he did a real quick omission of a word too. So now we got the
Army Corps of Engineers.
Dr. Fauci said they do an hour and a half of preparation and talking every day before they go and brief him. They brief him for 30 minutes, but he talks the most. 12:30 the source caller, what's on your mind?
This one, well, you saying the right thing, brother. What got me is if his mouth moving, he lying. But and see, your first perception is everything. And, like when I used to go look for a job, I always had a necktie on, and it might be just a dishwashing job. I might look better than the boss. But it's your perception, It's
Right,
everything.
right.
And the first thing he came out there, he lied on the Mexicans, talking they're rapists, they're robbers. We got all that here in America.
Right.
They ain't just come from Mexico. Americans are rapists and robbers.
Right.
And he been so full of himself, probably as a child, he took his ball home because nobody wanted him on their
Thank
team.
you. See, now that's what and see, to me, Donald Trump is not a very complex person.
No.
So to me, it doesn't take and this is my opinion, it doesn't take a lot of thought to figure him out. He wears it on his face.
Yeah, he can't take no kind of criticism or anything.
None. And
he take it offensively. He take it personally. And see, he's the president of the United States, the greatest country in the world. God blessing this country. And this guy is the president, the leader of the free world. And here he is. He can't take no comments. He wears it on his sleeve. And
yes.
And the lady wasn't disrespecting him or anything.
No. She wasn't disrespecting him at all. I think a part of it with the lady, and I'll be honest, I would say it's more sexist than racist because he does have a problem with CNN.
He got a problem with women too. He had 18 women.
There you go. Because you see how he shut the sister down. He didn't let her keep speaking, but he went back and forth with the other reporter. And the white guy.
No, he tried desperately to get his cloners to blow up CNN, but it didn't work.
Yeah, remember when they didn't let Jim Acosta come to the press conferences anymore, and CNN had to sue the White House.
Because he's a press reporter, White House reporter. But what happened is he don't like nobody to tell the truth on him. And they got the videos of him talking, saying those things. They ain't like somebody put those words in his mouth. They got video.
Well,
you don't realize that everything is recorded. Everything
is recorded. Now, look, we do have to be honest. The second reporter, he did try to omit some of his words to make you only have to appreciate me.
He's be smart enough to be able to handle that.
Oh, now that's where we agree. He's supposed to be able to handle that, and he's to be presidential enough to handle that.
Well, Hillary Clinton tried to tell you guys that he's not presidential material because she knows his clowns. Even with the Clintons for a while, he done it to him and all that. But he know the Clintons, they know him.
Well, look, since you like presidential decorum, let me ask you this. Joe Biden said some of the same things. He challenged guys to push-up contest. He called a lady a dog-faced liar a few weeks ago. And so, what's the difference? He said stuff that's not presidential.
Like I told you the other day, brother, the reason why I like Biden, he has experience in politics. He knows the Constitution backwards. And he you need somebody with experience and at least been in government or been in some kind of office. By him being impeached, you're not supposed to be getting hold any kind of office in America.
Well,
by him being impeached.
Well, he was impeached, but it didn't get to the prosecution stage.
But he still was. She had the I word on his resume.
It was just like Bill Clinton. They had the trial. That's what it means. It went to trial basically. And so
the trial. But when nobody on the Senate side was gonna say that because they.
Well, absolutely. They care more about re-election. They don't want him to threaten them being primary. And I also think that when you do dirt and people know you're dirt, you try to keep it hidden. They know this guy got a big mouth. No, I'm talking about Trump. I think a lot of their fear is he'll get out there and he has no problem throwing you under the bus.
Well, see, Trump already told you he can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue
and get away with it.
And he got away with 18 women. That showed you right there that he can do anything.
18 women, like I said, those are accusations. I don't know because I haven't seen it. We haven't seen nothing about it. But I'm not going to say it is. But we have seen enough. And my thing is this, and I said it earlier, this is what concerns me the most about Donald Trump. I'm not one who really gets into personalities and people, because I care more about the way that they legislate and things that they're doing far as the country.
He ain't intelligent enough to do that.
And this is my point. It's not even about intelligence. When you have a president who knows and purposely looks for any way to manipulate the system to his advantage. Donald Trump, in my opinion, spends more time trying to figure out how to get away with things than he does trying to legislate and be a good president.
It's been like that all his life.
All his
At 9 years
life.
old, he broke the window on the lady house, but he blamed it on his best friend because he know his best friend going to get paid. He's going to give him some money to take the rep. It's been like this his whole life.
Okay,
and 9-year-old kid that got away with it every time.
And that's what I'm saying. These are his patterns. These are things that he does, and it's blatantly obvious. He runs the country the way he runs his boardroom. You can tell he's the guy that go in there, just says what he wants, and tells people make it happen. He'll hire the people that can make it happen. If you don't like it, he'll fire you.
He don't care if it's illegal. He must rather be illegal when you make it happen.
Well, why would he care?